Hello everybody and welcome back to the D.G.S.R Sim Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione League race here at Brands Hatch. This is the second race in the weekend. Make sure you go check out the first race if you haven't already. And let's look at the grid. So, in P1 we have Morris. In P2 we have Long. In P3, Stevens, followed by Joswick in P4. In P5 we have Raiola, followed by Quinn in P6. P7 we have Daly, followed by Pichon in P8. In P9 we have Muir, and in P10 we have Barros. In P11 we have Sanchez, followed by Hale in P12. P13 we have Worley, followed by Durand in P14. In P15 we have Norton, followed by Verlessen in P16. In P17 we have McElligott, followed by Engel in P18. In P19 we have Hillier, followed by Ascombe in P20. In P21 we have Toblerone, followed by Ridge in P22. In P23 we have DL, followed by Speak English in P24. You join me then as we start this second race here at Brands Hatch. This is a night race at 11 PM. And once again we've got Morris and Long leading the field into the Brabham Straight to start this 30-minute race. Alright, and 5 lights and we're away. Long gets a pretty bad start as Stevens comes flying down the inside. Stevens managing to take P2. Looks like everyone's keeping it relatively clean as we head through the hairpin and into Graham Hill Bend. Let's just swap our camera angles. Morris then starting to make his trying to get some time between himself and Stevens. Long up on the back. Oh, looks like Joswick went wide there. Had a little tangle with Quinn as ooh, what happened there? Let's jump back quickly. Ooh, so that is Daly, who has just tipped Joswick. I think Joswick might have squeezed him a little bit, and he's gone into the barrier. There was another problem there. Is that Pichon? Pichon on Quinn and Joswick goes onto the grass to overtake Joswick. They managed to not come into it, but I think Joswick doesn't quite see Daly, and Daly's pushed wide. Barros then. Hale's dropped down come up a few places into P10. Behind him, Muir, then Sanchez. And looks like Duran's overtaken Worley at some point, probably in the beginning of the race. Verlessen behind them goes a little wide as, ooh, is that Muir? Yeah, I think that was Muir. Did he go? So he's coming through now. I'm running in P10 at that point. Must not be. Oh, I think it might be McElligott actually. Sorry, yeah. Has a bit of oversteer and hits the barrier. On P15, there might be some cold tyres perhaps. He comes through that corner, slipping about. Drop down to see Hillier and Engel will take Hillier on the inside. Just drop into the first person. They come tight through the Clark curve into the Brabham Straight. But I think looks like Engel has made the move as they go into turn 1. Ooh, very close, but Hillier just about gets on the brakes enough to not affect him. And we go into the hairpin. Looks like Engel has made the move stick. Behind them then is Ridge. Well, Daly now all the way down in the P24, so that error, that sort of bit of damage has cost him Daly as he goes very close to DL there. So we head into Surtees. He'll be looking to make up some places. Let's jump to the top of the grid then. So we've got Ridge, who is not created as big a gap as he did in race 1. Stevens still within a second of him, and Long within half a second of Stevens. So they're keeping together the top 3, and Stevens and Long will be looking to try and take the lead from Morris as we head now into lap 3. Behind them then, Raiola is heading up a pack for P4. He's followed quite closely by Pichon, who looks like he might be making a move actually going into this hairpin. Slows down, might get the better exit. Raiola keeps his lead there. I think behind Pichon we've got Quinn for company. As Pichon goes up on the inside to Raiola into Surtees, and if he can get a good exit out of this corner, it looks like he's made the overtake. They've done well there to get past and keep it clean. So now Raiola's got Quinn to deal with behind him. Okay, about a second behind them then. Oh, what's happening here? Oh, he was a second. He's now half a second behind. So actually, Quinn's got Barros for company as well. So this sort of fight for P4 down to P7 is getting quite close. Second behind him, less than a second I would say. We've got Hale. Right behind him we got Joswick. Had that little problem at the beginning. So he lost a few places there. I think he's qualified P4. Takes a little look up the inside, but he's not quite close enough. Looking to get a better exit out of turn 1. Ooh, as hell. Cuts a little bit of that corner. Might cost him a little bit of time hitting that curb. Joswick's putting another pressure on. Ooh. Just a little snap of oversteer as he comes out of the hairpin. And yeah, this fight for P4 all the way down to P9, once again, very close, just like the last race. So chasing that pack then, Muir in P10, Sanchez in P11, Durand in P12, and has McKelliger actually overtaken? Oh no, they're running side by side, I couldn't see him there, so McKelliger just getting in front of Durand there. So Kelliger now up into P12. Behind them then, Norton down in P14. A couple of seconds behind, trying to chase them. Verlessen close behind him. And Worley quite close up behind them as well. Engel, ooh! Just caught Engel as he's... Yeah, oh yeah, oversteer and hit the grass. Yeah, it's a common problem through that particular corner. Sheen curve, sorry. Yeah, taking many a man out, hitting the grass and then just spinning. And that's put him all the way down in last place, I think. So Ridge now up into P17. Followed closely by a very damaged Hillier by the looks. As Hillier decides to pit, he must have taken a bit of damage earlier on in the race. And he's pitting to get that fixed, which will put him probably last, unfortunately. Behind Ridge then, Askham is running in P18. Toblerone behind him in P19, trying to chase him up. Daly now into P20, so he's made a few places back. Speaking Leash in P21. DL in P22 and Engel down in P23. He must have had a problem at some point. And then finally Hillier, who's in the pits. Let's jump back up to Morris, who's managed to get a lead ahead of Stevens now. Almost 2 seconds in front now. So he's starting to... It was a little slower to get up to speed this race, perhaps just the cold tyres. So he heads now into lap 6 of this race. Stevens also managing to get away from Long there. He's running in P3. And then quite a big jump back to Pichon, running in P4. Viola behind him and in P5. And then again, these three, P5, P6 and P7, all quite close together. Viola, Quinn and Barros. So we head now into Surtees. Down to Pilgrim's Drop. Looks like Viola's getting a bit of a gap between himself and Quinn, as Quinn is battling to defend from Barros. Barros taking that quarter a little slower than he could have. Just keeping it safe to make sure he doesn't hit Quinn, I imagine. And waiting for his opportunity. Behind him then, P8 Hale, trying to chase down that pack. I think he was closer. Looks like he's fallen off that pack because he's got Joswick for company. We head into Grab 'em Straight once more. I think this is lap 7 now. Joswick having another little look up the inside of Hale. Again, not quite close enough. He gets quite up close between Paddock Hill Bend. And then down into Druids. Not quite able to get the dive bomb. He's staying with him, biding his time, I suspect, for Hale to make a mistake. One thing Joswick's very good at is just keeping it tidy and hoping that the person in front makes a mistake that he can just sail past. Looks like he's got a better exit out of Surtees there. Be going very close behind him through Hawthorne Hill. Trying to look up the inside. Hale comes in. Goes a little wide out the corner. That will give Joswick some more time again. Joswick backs off a little through that corner to make sure he doesn't have any issues. Oh, Joswick runs real wide there, hits the grass. That might mean he's not going to be able to get that overtake done this lap. Yeah, and he's not going to be close enough behind Hale. Right behind them then, the battle for P10. We've got Muir and McElligott. McElligott getting within a second of Muir. Muir goes quite wide through that corner. And McElligott's going to be able to come right up the back of him to go through Druids. Got to be careful here. McElligott looking up the inside through Surtees. Very clean, very nice. And he's got the move done, assuming he gets a better exit out of the Surtees. Oh, they're running side by side at the moment. As we head now through here, still running side by side. McElligott's dropping off a little bit, and I think Muir has managed to retain his position there. Let's look at that from a different angle, because there was a nice bit of racing there. So there we go through Graham Hill Bend into Surtees. McElligott gets them through the inside. Muir playing it careful. But because McElligott goes wide, Muir manages to get on the power a bit earlier and gets a better line through the straight. I think they're both in the Ferrari, so they should have the same straight line speed. And yeah, Muir just gets in front by the time. Oh. Yeah, by the time they get to Hawthorne Hill and Westfield, Muir's managed to retain his position in P10, but very good racing. Behind them then, their little battle is meaning that Sanchez can catch up to them. Just 2 seconds behind them. Norton behind him. Good 4 seconds behind, 2 seconds behind, sorry, is Durand. Followed right away by Orley, who's just coming up on DL, a back marker at the moment. 6 seconds behind Orley is Ridge. 5 seconds behind him is Toblerone. Daly managing to get into P18 and looking to overtake Toblerone on the Brabham Straight. Has he managed to get in front of him? Yep, just managed to get in front of him. Toblerone backs off through this corner. Although, Daly goes quite wide through that corner, so Toblerone's going to be on the attack again. Goes wide through the chicane. Chicane even, a hairpin. But I think Daly has made it stick. And he's going to be taking that place. Askham then, 2 seconds behind him. Villesen 6 seconds behind him. With Angle quite close behind, but has just gone wide, so he's going to lose a lot of that time. Speaking Leash behind him. Looks like he's being overtaken by some front runners. Hillier behind him in P23, and finally DL in P24. Must have had some issues. Oh, is that Durand that's gone off there? Looks like Durand. Let's have a look at that, shall we? So he's gone through Dingledale and oversteer into the wall. It's unfortunate. He's managed to keep control of the car pretty much as he goes through Sheen Curve, and then another stab of oversteering and he's into the barrier once more, and now he's spinning as Worley just manages to miss him, as does DL. And DL goes wide as well himself. Looks like he's hit the barrier, and that's going to be unfortunate for Durand. He's got a fair bit of damage, I would say. Interesting to see if he decides to pit or he decides to carry on. No, he's going to carry on and try and stick it out. That's unfortunate for him. Right, let's go back up to the top. Morris got a good 4 second lead now in front of Stevens. Long, 2 seconds behind Stevens. Pichon in P4, 6 seconds behind. Still got Raiola for company. And then looks like Quinn has managed to make the move on Barros and is up into P6. And Quinn's down in P7. Still quite a close pack. All sort of three of them. Raiola, Barros and Quinn. Managing to keep within a second of each other. Although I think Quinn's backing off Barros a little bit. No, sorry, Barros backing off Raiola a little bit. Raiola's keeping it close with Pichon. Behind them then, Hale, who's still got Joswick for company. Let's ride on board with them for a while, see how that's going. I think Joswick has got the pace on Hale through at least the first sector, if not the second sector. But I think Hale has just got the pace on excuse my dog there. Has just got the pace on Joswick in the third sector. But I think that both of them are catching up with the sort of P8 pack, sort of P7 pack. Ooh, as Hale goes a little wide through Surtees. Be interesting to see if Joswick has got a better exit. Looks like the Lexus is managing to keep ahead. Into Pilgrim's Drop. See, Joswick takes a fair amount more speed, I would say, through there than Hale does. As Hale goes quite hard on the brakes there. Lots of dust around. Must be the front runners hitting the dust. Joswick gets quite up behind him. This is where he lost a bit of time to Hale the last time we were riding on board. Is he going to be close enough through this straight to make the move on Hale, possibly into turn 1. He's having a look. Sides against it, not quite close enough still. He doesn't want to risk the crash, I don't think. Right, good 7 seconds behind them then is Muir, who's still got to McElligott for company, but keeping him behind. And their little battles allowing Norton to catch up with them. He's within a second of the two of them. Let's ride on board with McElligott, see if he can make... whether he's going to go for the dive bomb again into Surtees. No. Has a little lurk. He's got to be careful here because he's going to be in the blind spot of Muir. They're both in the Ferrari, so they're both going to have similar straight line speed. So he has to get it done in the corners. Or just get a better exit out of one of the corners. Ooh. They're coming up on, I think that's Speaking Leash in front of them. It'll be interesting to see if... Ooh, as McElligott gets very close to Muir there. Be interesting to see if this back marker affects what's going to happen. As McElligott loses a bit of time through there as he goes a little wide. And I think Muir's managed to get... Oh, he hits the grass a little bit there, so it might cost him a bit of time, but I think he's keeping ahead of McElligott for the most part. Norton then, oh, coming right up behind McElligott, maybe underestimated that and had to go wide to ensure he doesn't hit him. But he did well there to not hit McElligott. Could have been a punterino. The Speaking Leash goes wide there, but has allowed the three of them to get past without too much issue. Whether that was deliberate or not, I'm not sure. Behind Norton then, 6 seconds, Sanchez in P13. Followed by Worley in P14. And 23 seconds behind Worley, Durand, who's still got that damage. Is that Toblerone who's just made a move on them? Let's have a quick look at that. Yep, so going through Brabham Straight and into Paddock Hill Bend. It's gone up the inside. Very clean move. That's nicely done by Toblerone there. Oh, as he goes quite wide into that hairpin, but yeah. Yeah, every race we've had so far with Toblerone, he's managed to keep it pretty clean. He always starts near the back of the grid, so not particularly great in qualifying, but manages to get a decent number of places made during the race, so he's got good race pace and doesn't make too many mistakes. So that puts Durand down in P16, followed closely by Engel now, who's in P17. We're on board with him. Is he going to make the move on Durand as well? And he's got a lot more speed coming through the Pilgrim's Drop, but decides not to go for the overtake there. I think he probably could have made it if he wanted to, but keep playing it safe. He's going to have a difficult time overtaking in the next couple of corners. Maybe thinking to wait for Brabham Straight. Get him in turn 1 or something. Oh, as Durand goes wide, hits the grass, and that's going to allow Engel to get past nice and easy. I don't think that damage is giving Durand any favours there. 4 seconds behind them then, we have Villesen riding in P18, followed by Askham in P19, who's got Ridge and Daly for company. I'll drop back to Daly, and he looks like drops quite far back as Askham goes a little wide into the straight. Daly looks like he's going to catch him. Get him into turn 1. Oh, as all three of them go wide now. So actually it's going to be Askham who's going to end up in the lead here, P19. As I think that was Ridge and Daly both going wide, and Daly's gone. He's not come back on track yet. He must have had a problem as he goes through the hairpin. He's not had a particularly good race so far, and I think is that no, it's not Hilliam. Yeah, he's down in P21. Looks like he's got some damage now as well. I wonder if he hit the barrier perhaps. That's Askham, sorry, not Daly. Askham's now got some damage. So it's Ridge that's actually come out. Askham has come out in front. Ridge that's come out behind him. Oh, Ridge is going another move around Askham. So we head. I think he's going to have this if he gets enough speed coming out the corner. Oh, he's got in front anyway. Okay, so that's bridge up into P19. Oh, as Askim comes back at him. Is that going to force him wide? Or he gets a little bit of oversteer. Does Ridge? Oh, is that a back marker? That's a front runner. Is that Morris there? I think that might be Morris coming through there. Yeah, and then P22 behind Daly. Then we've got Hillier, Speaking Leash, and DL all racing their own races at the moment. Decent amount of time between them. Morris then. Ooh, no, don't want to do that. Sorry about that. Morris then heading into lap 16. Dealing with the back markers. He's got a 6-second lead in front of Stevens, who still has Long's managed to catch up with Stevens, possibly through some of the traffic, and is just a few tenths behind him. Let's have a look as we go into the hairpin of Druids, running very close together, possibly looking to go the inside of Stevens through Surtees, see if he can get better exit and head into, yeah, and go for the dive bomb through the Surtees, keeps it clean. He might not have a particularly fast exit, but I think he has the track position. Yeah, Stevens has definitely got a better speed going down the straight. Well, it looks like actually Long is going to keep hold of it, and Long has made the move. Let's ride on board with them and look for a little bit longer as Stevens. Ooh, Stevens doesn't quite expect Long to break, and Long, I don't quite know what happened there actually. Let's roll back. Did they touch? Riding side by side through Pilgrim's Drop. You're heading to Hawthorne Hill. Stevens get right up the back of Long. I don't think he hits him, but I think Long just possibly hits the curb. It looks like Stevens waits for him. Maybe Stevens thought he had hit him, I'm not quite sure. Not quite sure. Let's have a look at it from another angle. Maybe the bonnet. So I think they get through Hawthorne Hill with no problem. But then it's Westfield. Stevens gets right up the back of him. Oh, I think he does just tap him. There's a very, very light touch. Just taps the back and gives Long a little bit of a... Long has to correct and goes off wide, but then very politely gives the position back. But he'll be on the attack again for Long, as Long goes a little wide through that corner, which gives Stevens a lot more speed. Just about managing. Have I sped this up? Nope, playback speeds. Ooh, if there's got a car in the middle of the track, that won't have helped Long at all, as he has to avoid him on the inside. They have to split the two. Who was that? Was that? Let me have a look. Sorry, too far. Who is that? Is that Hillier, perhaps? Yeah, Hillier. Waiting to come back on track, but then he's sort of quite sure what's happening there. He gets split by second and third, and well, anyway, behind them in P4 is Pichon. Hillier's still on the road there. Has he run out of fuel? He's slowly entering the pits. He's either run out of fuel or he's got a lot of damage. Not quite sure what there. As Long is still attacking Stevens. Manages to get around him through Druids. As they're running side by side, I think, through Graham Hill Bend. Stevens manages to keep in front. David falls back. Long falls back a little bit. It's a good race between the two of them now. Okay, have a look at the rest of the field. Behind them we've got Pichon in P4. He's 7 seconds behind, but 3 seconds in front of Riola in P5. Riola's still got Barros for company. But it looks like Joswick has actually made the move on Hale and Quinn by now. Let's drop back then and see what happened with Joswick, because that was quite an interesting race he was having. Well, so it's actually Quinn that he overtakes first. Right, here we go. So this is when Hale's got to the back of Quinn. Like, Quinn goes wide through turn 1, and that allows the two of them, Hale and Joswick, just to come flying past. This is in lap 13, so a few laps behind. There we go. But Hale's had Joswick for company for most of this race. We're heading to Surtees once more. Oh, Hale goes wide there, hits the grass. It's going to allow Joswick to catch up with him a little bit. We head through a Sheen curve. Hale takes a lot more corner than Joswick does, but I think that gives him an advantage. He goes wide a little bit through Sterling's. And then up into through Clark Clove. Let's jump ahead a little bit. So at one point Joswick gets... There's a fair amount behind Hale. Oh, I've missed it somewhere. It must be turn 1. I think I just waited, we would have seen it. Right, so this is the end of lap 13 going to lap 14. You go through Clark Cove into Brabham Straight. Hale at that point is fine. Must have had a problem through turn 1. Paddock Hill Bend, which has allowed Joswick to come through. Yeah, he's got a bit of understeer and he's gone wide. And Joswick again, once again, you just fly through. So that was a good couple of laps for Joswick. You're managing to get through 2 positions in the same place. So now he's got to do some work to catch up with Barros and Viola and Pichon even. So let's jump back up to lap 16 because that's when we left the Stevens and Long fight. Hale still trying to keep up with Joswick, because I think Quinn making another move on Hale. Hale goes a little wide again through turn 1 in lap 16. Just giving the Quinn the opportunity to come up close behind him. There's Quinn quite up close through Graham Hill Bend. It might look to take the inside line through Surtees, which he does. But he's hit the grass, which is going to slow him down a lot and give Hale the position back. And he's going to have to catch up once more. Behind them then, in P10, we've got... Oh, is that Muir actually who's in P10? He must have just overtaken McElligott. So McElligott was in front of Muir. But Muir takes him on the inside through Druids. And manages to get in front of him through Graham Hill Bend. Both of them have got Sanchez for company. Sorry, Norton for company, I should say. Right on board with him. As McElligott wants to get past Muir. But unfortunately, he's got Norton for company. He's getting quite close up behind him. Two of them are in Ferraris. This is Norton's in the Porsche. There we go. It's been an interesting battle between Muir and McElligott all race. They've been swapping places to and fro. Very similar race pace. Ooh, that's McElligott takes a lot of curb there. A lot of corner, sorry. but still managing to keep with Muir. Let's keep an eye on that in the future. So we've got Sanchez behind them. Behind him we've got Worley, I think quite a fair bit behind. Behind Worley then we have Engel. And behind Engel we have Toblerone. In P16, P17, Valessen. Quite spread out man out. Durand in P18, still with a lot of damage. Behind him, Ridge in P19, who's just got a bit of oversteer and spun out, which might give Askham the opportunity to sail on past. He goes a bit wide for that corner as well. So Askham's now in P19, Ridge in P20, and I think Daly might have even taken P20 as well. Possibly not. Daly might still be in P21. He's just been passed by Stevens on long by the looks, who are still battling it out. Speaking Legion P22 has just unfortunately lost it in the grass. Hillier, who's still in the pits, might have pitted again by the looks. And then DL down in P24. Morris then, still heading up this race, keeping it clean and tidy, just like the last race. Stevens in P2, trying to get past the back marker of, I think that is, I forget the name, I think that's Askham. And then he's got Long still for company. Right on board with Long for a couple of corners. Gets a better line through Surtees than Stevens, but doesn't quite have it in a straight line. Joswick, Barros and Wyola then. Still within quite close together. Quinn's backed off now. And Joswick's done well to catch up. I think in the last couple of laps he's caught up around 2 seconds to this little battle for P4, 5 and 6. So maybe in a lap or so's time he might be talking about taking some of them. Quinn then, 5 seconds behind them, has made the overtake on Hale, who's now in P9. Muir still got McElligott for company as we head into the end of lap 18, beginning of lap 19. And behind them we've got Norton, who's trying to keep with that pack. So McElligott has a bit of oversteer there, and that's going to give Norton a bit of a chance to catch up during the straight. Not close enough to make the move into turn 1, but still is gaining time. Behind him then, Sanchez in P13. Behind Sanchez, 19 seconds behind is Worley. Big gap between the two of them. Behind Worley we've got Engel, who's catching Worley for P14. Toblerone then behind them in P16. Valessen in P17. Durand in P18. Still with a lot of damage and going wide again. That damage is not helping him. I think had it been me, I would have pitted by now. Oh, as Long has made the move on Stevens. Let's have a quick look at that. What's happened there? Was this that far away? Yeah, he's behind Miss Stevens here. As he's catching up with Speaking Leash. Gets past Speaking Leash. Hang on a minute, what's happened there? Oh, so it was further back. Okay, so here we go. So heading towards the end of lap 18. We've gone through Sterling's, but Miss Stevens has gone wide and Long's just been able to sail on past. So once again, Long back into P2 and Steven's down into P3. But still a little way to go in this race. So still looks like P2 is to play for. Let's drop back down to Durand. He's having a bit of trouble. I think it had been me, I would have pitted by now. Behind him then, a few seconds, is Askham in P19, Ridge in P20, who's coming up to the car of Hillier, I think. And Daly, who's pitted, P21, must have had some damage again. He's not had the best of races, it must be said, since that first sort of few corners. Speaking Leash up into P22, DL in P23, and Hillier's down in P24 as he drives off into the grass. Not quite sure what's happened there. Morris then leading the race into lap 20. Again, keeping it solid and managing to keep his quite substantial lead of 14 seconds behind himself and Long. Behind Long then, he's still got Stevens for company, so those two are going to be battling it out for the last few laps of this race. Pichon in P4. Again, he's had a pretty good race. He's managed to get him to P4, but hasn't managed to, even with the 2 and 3 battling, hasn't managed to catch up too many seconds, but he's kept it in front of Barros and Morello. Barros has managed to get up himself up to P5. Let's roll that back and have a look, shall we? So he was in P6, in front of Joswick, and behind Raiola in lap 18. Jump ahead a little bit. As Raiola goes wide there. I think is that through Surtees? Or is this the last corner? No, it's the last corner. Through Sterling's. So he goes wide through Sterling's, which in the last corner gives Barros a big advantage. Barros around the outside. It's not easy to overtake on the outside. As was that Hillier again on the grass, I think. He's got Barros quite close company as he go through the hairpin of Druids. Manages not to hit Raiola. He comes up quite close behind him. Go through Graham Hill bend as Raiola goes wide, has a bit of oversteer, and that gives Barros the opportunity just to sail past as we head into Surtees. And there we go, that's how he's managed to get into P5. Joswick then, still running up the back of Raiola himself. But I don't think he manages to get past Raiola at any point. So again, a close race for P5, P6 and P7. I was looking at Raiola, looks like he's trying to attack back at Barros through the last corner of lap 19. And I think the two of them are going to get a bit of time ahead of Joswick. Behind them then, 6 seconds behind is Quinn. He's being left alone at the moment to finish his own race. Hale behind him, he's trying to catch Quinn. Muir in P10. Still battling with McElligott still. These two races have been... Oh, as McElligott goes up the inside. And riding side by side, I think Muir gets a better exit. Side by side through the exit of Druids. McElligott goes a little wide out of the back of Graham Hill. He hits the grass. It's going to cost him a bit of time going into Surtees, but he's alright. He's having a look around the outside, but he's not going to have the speed, I don't think, going through into the straight. And I think Muir just keeps defending from him. And Norton's still behind them as well. And it looks like they're having an enjoyable race between the three of them. Especially Muir and McElligott. Behind those three then, in P13 we have Sanchez. again, has been riding pretty much by himself for quite some time. Behind them, Engel now up into P14, who's made the move on Worley. He's slowly dropping back down the field. And I think that is Morris who's just overtaken Worley there in P1. Worley in P15 then. Not far behind him is Toblerone in P16. Big gap between himself and Valesen in P17. He's just got a little wide through Surtees. And he's just about to be overtaken by Long and Stevens heading into Pilgrim's Drop. Ooh, is Valesen lets Long go sailing past, but Stevens is going to have a bit more trouble, and that's going to cost him some time. That's unfortunate for Stevens there. Ask him then in P18 with Ridge in P19. Duran now down to P20 as he looks like he's pitted at some point to fix that damage that he'd had. Speaking Leash, I'm sorry, Speaking Leash, I seem to be cutting to you whenever you spin out, so I apologise for that. Daly, who's still in the pits, I think. I think he's given up on this race by the looks. That's us Hillier, I think, as well. And we've got DL in P23. So it looks like after those back markers, Stevens has lost a couple of seconds on Long. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate for him. Ooh, Raiola. I think Joswick has made the move on Raiola. Ooh, there's a bit of a damage there. Let's have a quick look back a few seconds. So Joswick here is side by side, actually, sorry. Let's go even further back, shall we? Because they've been running side by side for a lot of this. So Joswick goes down the outside into Clark Curve, which means they're going to go similar speeds into Brabham Straight. Into turn 1 then, Paddock Hill Bend. I think Raiola's going to have a little bit of a better exit, but still running side by side as they touch a little bit as they go through Druids. And they touch again through the exit of Druids. And I think Joswick took advantage of that. I don't know if that might have got a penalty for that, I would say, because he definitely hit Raiola there. But he's managed to get himself into P6 anyway, and Raiola's now down into P7. He's done a good job to... Ooh, it was a little bit wide. Looks like he might have the speed on Joswick again, actually. As we head into Pilgrim's Drop and then Hawthorne Hill. They're still very close together. Let's ride on board for a little bit. Raiola looking to get that position back from Joswick. As he heads now into the straight. This is the end of the race, actually. So that last turn that Joswick has managed to get past him, and that's unfortunately where the replay ends. So let's have a look at the results then. Actually, if we roll it back a little bit and we watch as Morris goes across the line to win once again here at Brands Hatch. He goes around the back marker of Engel. He doesn't seem to want to let Morris by, and at least Morris is keeping it clean rather than try and tangle too much, as he knows that he's going to cross the line in first place. Behind him then is going to be Long, who's just catching the back of Worley. He just tries to keep out of the way. So Long then takes the checkered flag in P2. Stevens in P3. Then Looks like Barros is just going to take Joswick in the last couple of corners. Let's have a quick look at this. Oh, actually, it's a bit further back than the last couple of corners. So Pichon then here is in P4, beginning of lap 2. And Barros is in P5. And looked like Pichon had a couple of seconds gap. Oh, as he takes oversteers out of Graham Hill bend and gives Barros the P4. And Barros is just able to defend from him for the rest of the lap, and that's unfortunate for Pichon because he's managed to keep it clean all the way through, keep it in P4, and he's just lost it to Barros there. So it's Barros P4, Pichon I think P5. Behind them, Joswick and Raiola. Do we see the end of their race? Raiola's battling to try and get that position back, but I don't think he's quite close enough as we head into Clark's Curve. And I think Joswick is going to take P6. Raiola in P5. And we're not going to see everyone cross the line, unfortunately, so let's have a look at the results. So, Morris in P1 once again. 14-second lead there. Long managing to get up into managing to keep P2. So Stevens unfortunately doesn't manage to hang on. They had a good race there, but I think Stevens lost out to a few back markers there and ended up dropping into P3. Barros P4, Pichon P5, Joswick managing to get back up to P6, Raiola P7, Hale P8, Quinn P9, Muir managing to keep a hold of P10, even though McElligott was right behind him for a lot of that race in P11. Behind them, Sanchez in P12, Norton in P3. Also, Sanchez took Norton at some point. We can go have a look at that. Engel in P14, Toblerone in P15, Worley down in P16, Valesin in P17, Askham in P18, Ridge P19, Durand P20, Speaking Leash P21, and DL in P22. And then I think we had 2 DNFs with Daly and Hillier. Let's have a quick look at what's that fight between Norton and Sanchez, because I think that'll be interesting to see. So I think Norton was riding behind McElligott and Muir for a while. There's still quite a gap between himself and Sanchez there. In fact, I think... Oh, McElligott hits... Is that McElligott that hits... It hits Norton, and Norton goes wide, and McElligott's waiting for him. But then he gets hit again! Oh, that's unfortunate for him. Yeah, there's a bad rejoin there, and I think... Is that... Not quite sure who hits him there. I think it might be a back marker, as Sanchez is just able to fly past, I think, 2 or 3 of them. So McElligott was still P11 though. What happened there? So McElligott hits Norton and goes wide. He tries to wait for Norton and gets hit again. And goes behind Norton and Sanchez. As we head into the last corner. So does Sanchez and Norton have another altercation through that corner? Oh yes, they do. So that Norton that's gone wide yet again. Yeah, and McElligott. Has he just managed to overtake? How's that? What? Let's have a look at that. So we've got Sanchez on the inside. So according to the results, McElligott finished in front of Sanchez. Let's go have a look at this photo finish. I'm intrigued what happened there. So where's the line? I think the line's here, right? So Let's have a look. Don't want to follow the car. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm terrible at free cam, but I think it's worth watching this finish because it's an interesting one. So that's, I think, Norton. Is that the line? That doesn't look like the line. That definitely looks like... Unless this replay... Oh, do they have another lap? Ah, okay, hang on a minute. Okay, so they had another lap. And McCallum kind of pushes his way past there, I think, to get P12. Sorry, my mistake. Wasn't a photo finish at all. There we go. Right, well, interesting race all around. We had a good battle for P2 and a great battle for P4, P5, P6, P7. There was all great racing through there. And then for P11, P12, and P10, that was another good one. Norton unfortunately missing out on a few places there yet again. He had a bit of trouble in the first race as well. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time for our race at the Nürburgring. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.